Remember that daily latte you used to grab without a second thought, the one that was like $4 just a year ago? Yeah, well, now it's pushing 6. And that's not even the fancy stuff, that's just your regular run-of-the-mill caffeine fix. We've all seen the headlines about inflation, but it's not just numbers on a screen anymore, is it? It's hitting us right where it hurts, our wallets. Groceries are more expensive. Gas is through the roof, and don't even get me started on trying to buy a house these days. So what's the deal? Why is everything suddenly so expensive? And more importantly, what can we do about it? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the wild world of inflation, interest rates, and how they impact your everyday life. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is inflation? In the simplest terms, it's when things get more expensive over time. That means the purchasing power of your hard-earned money decreases. Think about it like this. Remember when you were a kid and $1 could buy you a king-size candy bar? Now that same dollar might get you a few measly pieces of candy if you're lucky. That's inflation in action. But why does this happen? Well, there are a few culprits behind this economic phenomenon. Let's talk about the biggest one, the delicate balance of supply and demand. Remember that Econ 101 class you may or may not have slept through? Yeah, this is where it comes in handy. The basic principle of supply and demand is like a giant game of tug-of-war. When demand for goods and services is higher than the supply, prices go up. It's like trying to get the latest video game console the day it's released. Everyone wants it, but there aren't enough to go around, so the price skyrockets. Now, throw in some curveballs like supply chain disruptions, thanks global pandemic, increased manufacturing costs, looking at you, rising energy prices, and a surge in demand as economies reopen, people are ready to spend, and you've got yourself a recipe for some serious inflation. But wait, there's more! Another factor contributing to inflation is something called excess money supply. When there's more money circulating in the economy, it can lead to increased spending, which, you guessed it, can drive up prices. So, how do we fight inflation? This is where central banks come in, armed with their trusty weapon interest rates. You see, central banks are like the economic referees, trying to keep things fair and balanced. When inflation gets too high, they can raise interest rates to try and slow things down. Think of interest rates like the brakes on a car. When you hit the brakes, the car slows down. Similarly, when central banks raise interest rates, it becomes more expensive to borrow money. This can discourage businesses from taking out loans to expand, and can make consumers think twice about that new car or home renovation. The idea is that by making it more expensive to borrow money, people and businesses will spend less, which can help to cool down the economy and bring inflation under control. But, as with most things in economics, there's a catch, and it usually involves your wallet. Remember that mortgage you're trying to pay off, or that credit card bill that seems to never get any smaller? Well, get ready for them to get a little bit more painful. You see, when interest rates go up, so do the interest rates on your loans. Let's say you're trying to buy a house. A few years ago, you might have snagged a mortgage with a 3% interest rate. Now that same mortgage might cost you 6% or more. That might not seem like a huge difference, but over the life of a 30-year mortgage, it can add up to tens of thousands of dollars in extra interest payments. But it's not just mortgages that are affected. Credit card interest rates, car loans, student loans, they can all be impacted by rising interest rates. This means higher monthly payments and less money in your pocket for other things. So, what can you do to protect yourself in this environment of rising inflation and interest rates? Well, the good news is that there are steps you can take to weather the storm. Get your debt under control. High-interest debt, like credit card debt, becomes even more expensive when interest rates rise. Focus on paying down those balances as quickly as possible to minimize the impact. Consider locking in fixed rates. If you're considering a major purchase, like a house or a car, see if you can lock in a fixed interest rate. This will protect you from future interest rate hikes. Invest wisely. Investing can be a good way to outpace inflation over the long term. Consider diversifying your investments across different asset classes to manage risk. Shop smart. Inflation has made everything more expensive, so it's more important than ever to be a savvy shopper. Look for sales, use coupons, and compare prices before you buy. Remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about inflation and interest rates, the better equipped you'll be to make informed financial decisions. So, there you have it, a crash course on inflation, interest rates, and how they impact your wallet. But this isn't the end of the conversation. We're all in this together, trying to navigate these choppy economic waters. What strategies are you using to cope with rising prices? Share your tips, tricks, and experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how to manage your money and come out ahead.